What's up, Crossbones Nation? It is Saturday. It is 5 rounds with John and Eddie, and we are here talking recap of Bellator. Going to go review Invicta. Welcome to the show press conference. Cyborg's future with the UFC and with Invicta, and we're going to make our UFC 184 picks. But before that, a little business to get out of the way. All of our episodes are brought to you by CrossbonesMMA.com. On the site, we have a store and affiliates page where we work with a couple of different programs and a couple of different companies that help us out, and we want to help them out, so make sure you go there. The first one is Onnit. Onnit is a total human optimization website. What that means is they talk about your mind, body, and spirit. Your mind, talking about nootropics, uh, supplements like New Mood, Alpha Brain. They give you things for your body, workout equipment, food. The workout equipment's crazy. Some of the kettlebells they have steel maces, battle ropes, there's Onnit sandbags, all these crazy tools, not to get you like beach pumped, but to give you functional strength and functional ability with your muscles. It's not just to show what you got, but it's to actually be able to use them. And then work with your spirit and your mind as well. There's a lot of motivational videos there on the Onnit Academy. They give you free workouts. They give you a whole bunch of stuff, all to hopefully make you a better version of you. So check them out. Go to crossbonesmma.com and click on the Onnit link. We are also part of NatureBox. NatureBox is a subscription-based food company that is going to send you healthy snacks. How many times throughout the day are you reaching into your pocket for coins to go to the vending machine at work? Instead of getting a Twinkie or some crap out of that, reach into your fucking bag and get a thing from NatureBox. NatureBox will send you wholesome foods. No high fructose corn syrup, no gluten in some of them. They're all the different things, all the different types of foods that they have, and it's all customizable to things that you like and you want to eat. So make sure you guys check them out. You can get a free trial. Go to the NatureBox link on the website, and you get a free trial right there. F3 Foods is a way that you can get all your meals taken care of. They send you breakfast, lunch, and dinner. When they send this to you, you're going to choose from their menu. They'll send it right to your house in prepackaged meals. You get anything you want. You can mix and match your food. It doesn't have to be the same thing every week. You can get something this week and change it up next week if you want to change, or if you want to try something different. But what these meals are is they're balanced meals that are designed to help you drop the body fat, put on lean muscle, help you out, get fit. Remember, summer's coming up quick here. We want to make sure that you guys are in shape, rocking those Speedos on the beaches there. Troxafen. Troxafen is a supplement. Eddie, you fucking just killed me there with that face, dude. Troxafen.
Look, man, time out. I know we're in commercials. I don't want to see no goddamn people in Speedos, okay?
Listen, man, I don't know what happens out there in Arizona, but
nothing good as far as Speedos go. Not a goddamn good thing happened in Speedo everywhere, anywhere. All right, sorry, continue.
That's all right. So Troxafen is a supplement that's going to help boost your free testosterone in your body. By boosting your free testosterone, it's going to increase your thermogenic stimulation, or it's going to thermogenically stimulate your body, which means it's going to increase your heart rate, it's going to increase your pulse, and it's going to increase your body temperature, which is going to in turn help you burn calories. It's going to increase muscle mass and reduce body fat. And what the great thing about this company is they'll actually send you test strips. That way you can test your testosterone levels before it, test it while you're on it, and you can see if there's a difference or not. You can see if it's working for you. So check out Troxafen.com. We have a link up on the website. On the website, we also have a portal for Amazon.com. When you guys do any kind of shopping online, go to Amazon.com through the Crossbones MMA link. What happens is they're going to charge you the same amount. So if you buy a book for $9.99, they're still going to charge you $9.99. But what they do is off their end is they kick a little bit back to us, which helps support us here at the website and with the podcast. So anything you need to buy, music, books, cat litter, toilet paper, anything that Amazon sells, you guys can get it there online, sent straight to your house. You don't even have to go to the store, do anything to take care of it. Make sure you guys do it through the Crossbones MMA portal on the website. And finally, DraftKings is the official fantasy sponsor of the UFC. They are bringing fantasy sports to the world of MMA. You get a salary cap, you pick 5 fighters, and what happens is based on ring aggression, based on striking, based on number of strikes, basically all the things that fighters get graded on in the cage, they're going to give you points for. Basically the same thing as fantasy football. So if they get 5 yards, you get points. If they get a touchdown, you get points. Same thing. In MMA, they score a takedown, you get points. They throw punches, you get points. At the end of the night, if you get the most points, you win. Simple as that. But what happens here is you have the opportunity to win money. Last year, $300 million these guys gave out. $300 million. That's freaking ridiculous for fantasy sports. This year, their goal, and they're estimating giving out over $1 billion. America, get your billions back. Go to DraftKings.com and hook yourself up. But we got a great show for you today. Like I said, Bellator, Invicta. Welcome to the show, Cyborg and 184. So without any further delay, let's get this thing started. Eddie, we already touched on you're here with us today. We also got Nick with us, as always here. Well, not as always. Here's rare occasion here on a Saturday. But what's going on out there in Arizona today?
Not much, man. Not a goddamn Speedo. Not one. Nowhere. We don't want to see that shit. Keep that Speedo shit in California. We don't want to see it out here. No, I'm just messing. Well, no, I'm not messing. I don't want to see Speedo. But keep that shit in California for sure. It's it's a good day here. Got my morning workout in, which is ridiculous. I am doing a super Spartan. So if you're gonna be in the Las Vegas area on April 18th, hit me up. You can join my team. It's 8 to 10 miles, about 25 plus obstacles. If you're an idiot like me, you can fucking jump on that shit. We can get it done. Jump on my team. My team name is, and I know it's gonna be fucking. Of course you're gonna be like, of course it is. Team name is Don't Be Scared, Homie. Not even kidding.
Oh God.
So, anyway, but doing pretty good out here. How's Texas treating you, Nick?
It's good. It's all rainy right now and cold, but besides that, just luckily got off work early so I can come do this show. Almost got a car accident on the way over here because people in Corpus don't know how to drive in the rain. But other than that, it's all good. I'm all healthy and ready to do the show.
Cool.
All right. Well, the first thing we're going to talk about, we're going to recap Bellator. Last night, Bellator held Bellator 134 in Uncasville, Connecticut, at the Mohegan Sun out there. Great casino out there. Eddie, you got a chance to watch some of those fights? How did everything go, man?
Not gonna lie to you, man. I was doing the ULA podcast. I got to watch the Paul Daly fight. Paul Daly fight. So, Paul Daly fucking still throws bombs, man. He landed a bunch of Santos, and Santos was just not gonna quit. That dude is insane. So, props to that guy. I remember at the weigh-ins, I did watch the weigh-ins. They asked him if he's afraid of Paul Daly or his hands or something, what on Paul Daly is worries him, and his answer was, "I'm Brazilian. I'm not scared," basically. So. He wasn't scared. He definitely didn't, tap out. He didn't quit the fight whatsoever. A couple times it looked like he was gonna get stopped. Didn't get stopped, and Paul Daly pulls off a decision win. And that's literally the only fight I watched. But I did get a million tweets about the Newton fight. Unfortunately, I heard it was boring as dog shit. And then, not the Newton fight. I take it back. Not the Newton fight. The King Mo Czech Congo fight was boring as dog shit. Is what I was told.
I was gonna say I watched the Emmanuel Newton fight, and that was a pretty freaking awesome fight.
Yeah, I meant the Comey. Is it the Comey? Yeah, Czech Congo was Comey. Yeah.
Yeah, he was. No, it was actually the fight before Paul Daly. Daly and Santos, I think, was the co-main. But Blair Tugman defeated Marvin Maldonado, unanimous decision. Neiman Gracie defeated Bobby Flynn by submission as a cross-face crank in round 1. Tamden McCrory defeated Jason Butcher, submission by armbar. Raphael Butler defeated Josh Diekman, submission by guillotine choke. Matt Bissett defeated Josh Labarge. TKO was a doctor stoppage. John Hancock defeated Mike Mangan, and that was submission by rear naked choke. That was the preliminary bouts. We got to the main card here. Brennan Ward defeated Curtis Melander, rear naked choke. Linton Vassell defeated Thierry Sokaju by TKO by strikes. Mohamed Lawal defeated Chuck Congo, split decision 30-27, 28-29, 29-28. Paul Daly defeated Andre Santos, unanimous decision, and Liam McGeary takes the title away from Emmanuel Newton by unanimous decision. That was the rundown of the card. Now, Nick, did you see any of this?
I got to see the Paul Daly fight. I really enjoyed the Paul Daly fight. It was a good fight. I really wished we could see Paul Daly in the UFC. I think he can do decent in the UFC. I did not get to see the King Mo Czech Congo fight, which what I hear was a boring fight anyway, so I'm glad I didn't watch it. I did get to see the main event. The main event was a crazy fight. I really enjoyed the fight. Emmanuel Newton, he's growing into be a good fighter for me, like one of the fighters to watch for me. But he did come up short, but it was a great fight overall. I have to say it was one of Bellator's good cards. It wasn't one of the best cards that I watched, but it was all right. But I want to know why Sokaju's still fighting. I haven't seen him in years. Why is that guy still fighting?
He needs a paycheck, man.
No, he should just take up doing private lessons and stuff like that, because I don't think he has it anymore to be at least good in MMA anymore.
Eddie, what did you? Now you said you saw the Paul Daly fight. Was it a good fight? I mean, he's a pretty exciting fighter. He's got great strikes. I did not get a chance to see that because I got to see I was watching the Invicta fights. But what happened there with that fight?
Okay, well, Paul Daly was swinging for the freaking fences, man. That guy does not give a shit. So what he would do is he would duck under, throw his because Paul Daly's bread and butter is his left hook, right? That's how he knocks dudes out. His straight right is it's underrated. It's good. It's not it's not gonna put guys to sleep. It's gonna rock the hell out of them. And he was just swinging for fences the way Tyson used to do back in his day. But it just wasn't. I don't know. He just didn't catch Santos enough. He did catch him a few times as far as like hurting him, rocking him. He rocked him quite a few times. Santos is just too damn tough, and Paul Daly just he kind of just outpointed him. It's not that Paul Daly couldn't knock Santos out. It's that Santos would not let himself get he wouldn't quit. He wouldn't let himself get finished. So I think I was more impressed with Santos' ability to take a hit and not go to sleep. More than Paul Daly, hitting him or winning the fight by decision. But it was a fun fight to watch. I was sitting there just waiting for Santos to go to sleep, and it wasn't happening, and hoping that maybe Santos could catch Paul Daly in a submission, because that would have made it for like an interesting fight, interesting finish. But we didn't get that this time around.
Yeah, and let me tell you, with the Emmanuel Newton fight and the Lee McGeary fight, the Emmanuel Newton-Lee McGeary fight, that was a ridiculous fight. People were definitely talking about this as a fight of the night, fight of the year contender. Great back and forth. Came down to the fifth and final round. Lee McGeary set a new record from Bellator for throwing up, I think it was 12 or 13 different submission attempts. It was nonstop action. Now, Emmanuel Newton's got a very, very interesting style about him. Very, very strange and hard to mimic, hard to work against. But he was not afraid to go to the ground, and every time they did, Lee McGeary got the best of him. First and second round was crazy. Then we got Vassell coming back a little. Newton coming back a little bit, and then McGeary pulled it out in the final round. Really, really good fight. Very exciting, and congratulations to Lee McGeary for taking the light heavyweight title there last night at the British Invasion. Now, another thing that happened with Bellator was we have our first opponent for Kimbo Slice, and they've announced that it's going to be 51-year-old Ken Shamrock. What are your thoughts on this one, Eddie?
Well, it seems that Bellator, in their quest to become legit and not just second fiddle to the UFC, and by the way, it's a far fiddle. Okay, it's a huge difference between UFC and Bellator, and they're just making a bigger distance again. It seems like the Stephan Bonner Tito Ortiz fight was not enough of a circus. They had to pull 51-year-old Ken Shamrock out of the shadows, which, by the way, he's scheduled to take on this Irish guy in a bare knuckle fight, which we don't even know if it's still going down or not. But I mean, what kind of circus are they running? Now they're going to put him against a guy with no knees? And people were saying, oh, Kimbo's going to knock him out. First of all, Kimbo's not knocking him out. You want to know why? Because Ken Shamrock is going to take him down and tear those knees apart once and for all. All right, that's just one of those. I will take a jiu-jitsu practitioner at 51 years old over a brawler with no ground game and bad knees. But just, I mean, how many more UFC guys is Bellator going to sign and make freak shows out of, before people start calling them out on it? That's why I always have a problem with people that shit on the UFC so much. Oh, it's fucking watered down and all sorts of shit. Well, what are you getting at Bellator? I mean, are you really a Bellator fan? And so I argue there's not a lot of Bellator fans because, they'll talk shit about the UFC and be like, oh, well, I'm just going to go watch Bellator. Go ahead. Have fun with that. How's that working out for you? You'll be back. That's why the UFC doesn't give a crap about catering their fans anymore, because they're gonna be bad. Because the Bellator product, unfortunately, for the most part, is that bad. And this garbage circus main event, which by the way is gonna get ratings. It's for sure gonna get ratings. I'm gonna tune in to watch a freak show. I'm not even gonna lie about that. I want to see what happens. But signing all these old guys and all that to fight, it's pretty ridiculous, and it's getting. I'm not gonna be out here and say, oh, it's hurting MMA, because it's not. And it's definitely a payday for both Kimbo and Ken Shamrock. And you could tell, at least one of them has money issues, so that's why they're coming out. Especially Shamrock at 51 years old. Fuck that.
Yo, I don't know if it's Shamrock. Shamrock now, he bought a fight organization. He's got.
Oh, did he?
Yeah, he's doing things, man. He's making things happen for him. So either he's dumping all his eggs in one basket here, and making moves that he's trying to bail himself out, or he's doing all right for himself. I think if anybody's got the money issues, I think it might be Kimbo in this one.
You know what? I can see that being true too. Unfortunately, he doesn't seem like a guy that's very responsible with his money. But then again, most professional athletes aren't that good with their money. You ever seen that documentary Broke?
Yep.
The statistics about pro athletes and running out of money just months to possibly a couple years after retirement is incredible. So I wouldn't doubt it. I wouldn't doubt if it was either one of them, or both of them, need money that badly. But if we're talking just a fight, just the fact that this is a fight, it's just a circus. And and Bellator is kind of, they're rolling the dice and hoping that people don't call them out on their BS.
Yeah, for sure. Go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say, when you heard about the fight announcement, what were your thoughts?
I automatically thought about the Stephan Bonner Tito Ortiz fight. Automatically, it's the same thing. Bellator is gonna throw these fights at us every now and then. These fights that are freak show fights, as Eddie put them. It's just Kimbo slicing an opponent, and Ken Shamrock is going to be his opponent. It's weird. I don't like it. Ken Shamrock's 51 years old. He's roided out of his mind. He is, and he's going to be fighting a brawler. He's going to be fighting a guy that just swings for the fences, goes for the knockout, and everything like that. I'm not surprised at Bellator. If Bellator wants to make their name like this, to be the freak show, throw the freak show fights and actually have competitors, I don't mind it. Let them be their own brand. They're not the UFC. But like Eddie said, if people are like, I'm tired of the UFC, they're watered down, I'm going to go to Bellator, yeah, okay, you're going to get some decent competition, but then you're going to get these freak show fights that everyone's going to pay for, or it's going to watch, but it has nothing to do. No one's going to go for a title shot. It's just these random fights that they're throwing up. I don't like it. I'm going to watch it for sure because I want to see two old guys fight and see who gets knocked out. I don't know. It's weird. I'm going to watch it. Let's go Ken Shamrock, because I'd like to see Ken Shamrock win. That'd be random. It'd just be weird to see a 51-year-old guy walk in and fight. It's going to be different. But I'm going to watch it.
Well, this is... I'm curious to see what's happening here, because this fight announcement caught me off guard, because isn't he supposed to fight in that bare knuckle league?
Oh, yeah.
So what exactly is happening with that fight? That was, so when they said it was Ken Shamrock, I was like, no, maybe Frank Shamrock is what you're talking about. And then I looked it up, and sure enough, so I don't know if the fight with the bare knuckle fighter fell through, isn't going on. If it's still going on, he's just like, screw it, I'm just doing it all. He did an interview, I think, with Adam for MMA Roasted, and he said he's always trying to push the envelope. He's always looking for those extreme things, and it's this is what he's at. The point that he's at right now. He's pushing. But just in terms of show and in terms of what they're putting on there, I really have to stop and think, and I really feel in my heart that Scott Coker is taking this in making it a worse direction. I don't know if that makes sense, but Bjorn Rebney was trying to bring this up. He had a vision for it. He was doing the tournaments fine. That wasn't working out. He seemed like he was a stickler for that. Supposedly a bad reputation with the fighters, but Scott Coker is taking this and making it a joke almost. You know, he's putting together these things. He's bringing all these old guys back. People are like, hey, you know what? He might even sign Fedor. Well, you know what? Let's. At what point are we just gonna, call Bellator like the retirement league? You know, I mean, they're becoming the senior MMA tour. It's like the senior PGA tour. So guys know when they have they finish their run in the UFC, they finish their run some of these other organizations, and they're looking to retire. They can always go to Bellator, get one or two crazy fights and walk away. But I don't see. Obviously, I've defended them before, saying that they're going to put a lot of talent on that card underneath to bring those eyes and try to start growing some stars of their own. But when people start thinking about Bellator, they're going to be thinking about Kimbo Slice and Ken Shamrock and Tito Ortiz and Stephan Bonner. These are the names you'll know. These are the big events that they're getting pushed. It's just making them look less and less desirable as a fight organization, in my mind, anyway.
Yeah, that's all Bellator needs to do is just build the stars that they have now into superstars, and hopefully they go to the UFC, or just try to keep them as their main stars on Bellator. That's what they need to do. They need to stop doing these, picking up the older fighters and trying to do that. I swear, if we end up getting Chuck Liddell, Randy Couture, and Bellator, that will be the only fight that I think will be even creditable to Bellator. But we're not going to get that. They need to start building the fighters that they have now and making them into stars, and stop bringing these old stars.
Here's the thing about that. Okay, first of all, if you bring Chuck Liddell and Randy Couture out of retirement to fight in Bellator as a freak show fight, one of them needs money real bad, and you better get a lot of arthritis meds and a bunch of fucking like nurses, ringside, doctors, ambulances in the fucking place. Because those two guys are done. There's no way they're coming back, first of all. But we always talk about how we want Bellator to build their own stars and WSF to build their own stars. It's easier said than done. First of all, for World Series of Fighting, it's impossible to do for the fact that they can't pay their fighters. They just can't, right? And so, let's move on. They have no shot to come up to be like the UFC and build up stars. They do have a couple good stars on there, but they're going to leave, and they're going to leave soon. As far as Bellator goes, everyone in the Bellator roster wants to be in the UFC. Like there's just no other place you're gonna get that kind of exposure. When you see examples of a GSP fighting and being as great as he was or is, and making millions of dollars, and then going to do movies, and then getting sponsorships, that exposure is there. John Jones gets a Reebok deal, first a Nike deal, then a Reebok deal. Ronda Rousey just destroying, dominating the fucking world right now with everything she's doing. She's on the Swimsuit magazine, man. All right, and so. They see the exposure. It's a big difference between the UFC and Bellator. And until Bellator finds a way, and Scott Coker finds a way to get Bellator to have that kind of exposure, it's going to be incredibly hard. Now, this is what he's trying to do with these two fighters, with Ken Shamrock and Kimbo Slice. Kimbo Slice, you can go to your store down the street and say Kimbo Slice, and a bunch of people will know who it is. Ken Shamrock, not so much, unless they're big wrestling fans, like old school wrestling fans. But it's going to be names that a lot of people recognize. So you're going to get some eyes. So he's trying to get the exposure. He's trying to get the recognition of the Bellator name. So with casual fans, it might work a little bit. With hardcore fans, we're all losing respect for these motherfuckers big time, especially Scott Coker. But Coker is known to take gambles and to make moves that make, to a lot of people make no sense. To him, it's just a shot in the dark to see if it works. So I love the idea. I've always loved the idea of people making their own stars and raising them and keeping them. But the problem is the keeping them part, because they want to go to the big show where they know they're going to get a lot of eyeballs and a lot of sponsorship dollars and a lot of exposure to do other things in life, and hopefully set themselves up for a post-fighting career.
Yeah. Well, I know back in the day when he was with Strikeforce and everything, he never did these freak fights. He only signed Kimbo. That was the biggest thing that he did that could be like a freak show. He used to pick up the UFC fighters that didn't cut in the UFC and then built them and then let them go back to the UFC. I think that's what he needs to start doing again. He needs to go back to that and not doing these freak show fights.
Yeah, but it'll definitely be interesting to see how that all works out, how they handle that. Hopefully things work out well for them, because obviously, it's going to be the better they do, it's going to be better for the fighters, and that's really turns into what's better for the fans. So, I wish them well. Definitely don't, wish them poorly, but they confuse me sometimes, no doubt about that. But we had another event last night, and last night could have been the kickoff to a very important and exciting weekend in women's mixed martial arts. Invicta held Invicta FC 11 yesterday in LA, and we had some really great fights on the card. Start off with Aspen Ladd. She defeated Anna Vidal TKO by strikes. Christine Stanley defeated Laura Salazar TKO by strikes. Amy Montenegro defeated Brianna Van Buren unanimous decision, but that was an awesome fight. Jamie Moyle defeated JJ Aldrich by submission very quickly, rear naked choke. Irene Aldana defeated Colleen Schneider by submission, rear naked choke. Deanna Bennett defeated Norma Ruda, unanimous decision. Alexa Grasso stayed undefeated, defeated Mizuki Inoue by unanimous decision. Cristaine Justino defeated Charmaine Tweet by TKO strikes 46 seconds into the fight. Definitely thought that was going to be much more competitive. Cristaine just really showed off again why she is such a dangerous fighter in this sport, and she's such a force to be reckoned with in WMMA. I know, Eddie, you got a chance to see, I think, the Alexa Grasso fight for love interest more than anything else, but did you get to see any of the other fights?
I caught some of the Aldana fight. The fact, first of all, and forget the fight itself, I saw just like literally seconds of it. But the fact that she submitted a fighter trained by Josh Barnett is incredible. Like, I was surprised as shit. I thought Aldana was gonna just have to outstrike her and knock her out, maybe TKO, whatever, take her down, ground and pound. But to submit her, a girl trained by a catch wrestler is, to me, impressive as all shit. So now they're talking Aldana Cyborg, or they're talking Aldana Tanya Evinger, which either fight would be awesome to watch. And Aldana's one of those stars that's coming up. She's moving up, and she's gonna make a lot of noise soon. Alexa Grasso is the love of my life, and I'm messing up, but she honestly, she's the next star for Invicta. I think she's gonna take that I guess she'll be the face of Invicta very, very soon. Now that Waterson's not there anymore, it's kind of vacant. It's not Tiburcio because she's unknown still. You could say it's Cyborg, but Cyborg's literally 1 foot in, 1 foot out, and all the time anyway. They're always talking about her leaving, and you don't really know any other fighters by name. I mean, I know a bunch of them, you know a bunch of them, Nick knows a bunch of them, but the casual fan doesn't. They know Michelle Watterson and Cyborg. It's literally all the ones they know from that promotion. So Alexa Grasso is about to be that next name that everyone knows. And if she makes the move to the UFC, like I think she will in the next year or so, she's going to make a lot of noise. Her striking's on point. Last night showed that she can get out of trouble in jiu-jitsu. She showed that she can get taken down and she can pop back up and get out of trouble. I was incredibly impressed with her fighting skills and everything else too, but she I don't know. I think she's got a lot of potential. And in the main event, who didn't feel bad for Charmaine Tweet? When Cyborg came out, started going, like I kept yelling at the because I was watching on my phone. I actually went to a wings place after the podcast because I was starving, and Nick knows. And I was watching the fights on my phone with my friends, and I kept yelling at the phone like, front kick, bitch, front kick. No offense, Charmaine. I'm not calling you a bitch. I was drunk. Anyway. But I was yelling front kick, make some space, stop Cyborg from rushing you. No good. And then I'm pretty sure Charmaine's nose is still missing in action, like, because I couldn't see it at all, like it was gone. So from the get-go, I'm pretty sure Charmaine Tweet knew this is going to be an incredibly rough fight, and it could go really bad really quickly. And I'm sure Cyborg figured she was going to beat her pretty quickly. I honestly wouldn't be surprised if Cyborg didn't really train that hard for this fight. She knew she was going to do. Here's a fun little tidbit though from today's from today's press conference. What is it called? What did they say? The time is now? Or welcome to the show. There you go. By the way, during the press conference, we'll talk about it in a few minutes because everyone kept having to correct that because everyone kept saying the time is now. and Dana White kept having to repeat himself, saying, no, it's welcome to the show. Like, what the fuck, dude? But Dana White said that there's a rumor that Cyborg stepped into the cage at 170 pounds. So just the thought that Cyborg has to cut from 170 down to 145, I mean, can she even smell 135? I don't think so, if that's true. In my own opinion, just watching the fight and seeing her, I don't buy that she was 170 pounds. I mean, maybe 150, 155, and that's still a crap load. Maybe like 155, 160. Let's say 160. Let's say she stepped in at 160. It's still a lot of weight. But that's insane. That's an insane weight cut. And it didn't show because she came out and just destroyed Charmaine.
Yeah, Nick, did you see any of these fights last night?
Yeah, I got to see the co-main and the main. I got to see Alexa Grasso fight because I just got home and I wanted to see both of those fights. I got home just in time. And Grasso's stand-up game is on point. She had some great stand-up game. It was awesome. And then her ground game, her defense was awesome too. Great fighter. Like Eddie said, I think she is going to be the face of Invicta. I know she did an interview and they asked her if she was willing to sign with UFC if she can fight in Mexico. And she said yes, she would be willing to do that, but she does want to stay in Invicta and become Invicta champion first, which is completely humble in my opinion. I think that's awesome that she wants to become champion organization that she's in now and stay at her roots and do that and then move on to the UFC and the big leagues. It's kind of like it kind of sounded like a personal goal for her. And she's young, and I totally expect her to do that. I expect her to get the Invicta championship and then move on to the UFC and hopefully fight for the UFC championship. But on to the main event. I was same thing was Eddie. I was watching it on my phone when I got home, and I was screaming at Charmaine to run because I knew Cyborg was just gonna run in and just demolish her. I was like, run, you're gonna die. Take it to the ground, do something else. But popped 40-something seconds and she was done. If it's true that Cyborg is walking in a cage at 170, she's never going to be in the UFC. If she can even get down to the weight and fight Ronda Rousey or Holly Holm, because I'd rather see that fight first than seeing her fight Ronda Rousey, I would like to see that 10 times better or 10 times more. But we'll have to see on that. I don't even think she'll be in the UFC. I think she'll be in the arena tonight for the fights, and they're going to keep showing her on that little mini cam on the bottom corner, trying to hint at something, and they're not going to do it. So if they do sign her, it's going to be a super fight against her and Ronda Rousey, but I don't think Ronda Rousey wants to fight her for a super fight because she only wants to defend her title. Even if the money talks, I don't think she'll make it, or she'll fight her. So Ronda Rousey only said the only fight that she will make an exception for not a title fight is Gina Carano because she looks up to her and she'd rather fight her. And she said that in her interview yesterday, I believe, or the other day. So I'd rather see that fight more than the Cyborg fight. But we won't see Cyborg in the UFC. Great fight for her last night. Great fighter for Alexa Grasso. I cannot wait to see her in the UFC. I think she could be the strawweight champion. But I do want to see her as the Invicta strawweight champion first, and then move on to the UFC.
Yeah, I mean, last night, those two fights aside for a second, there was a lot of great fights. So if you guys get a chance, I think both of you guys have Fight Pass. Go back and check out some of the fights. Amy Montenegro was out of control with her knees against Brianna Van Buren. Really great fight, really great dirty boxing. Both of these girls have strong wrestling bases, and because of that, they kind of canceled each other out. So we saw a lot of clinch fighting up against the cage. Really exciting. Really, good high level knees, body shots. Really, just when you were watching this, you saw the way two wrestlers should fight when they get against the cage. It was great to see, and it was a close fight, so that was a good one. Jamie Moyle, who is supported or is sponsored by our friend over at Americana, she put on a great fight against J.J. Aldrich, who also is a very exciting fighter. Both of them were 1-0 coming into last night, so they're both very young in their career, but really, really very, very exciting fight for Jamie Moyle. Really got to show off some of her grappling skills and landed a rear naked choke very quickly, 2 minutes and 20 seconds into the fight. Deanna Bennett put on a great fight against Norma Ruda with the decision win. What we saw here was just nonstop action, and I think I said it to you on Wednesday's show, Eddie, and Nick. These girls are constantly just bringing it. This is why Invicta is so exciting. I think it's really going to move up the ranks quickly as a fan favorite once we get people to watch it. The sad thing about last night's broadcast was when they showed the crowd, or when the camera panned and you could see the crowd, it was empty in there, and I don't understand why people aren't picking up on this quicker. Hopefully, with the card tonight with the UFC, with Ronda headlining it, with with Kat Zingano getting in there, with Raquel Pennington, Holly Holm being the co-main event, hopefully more people will get their eyes open to women's mixed martial arts, and maybe we'll start to see a turnaround. But Alexa Grasso and Mizuki, I think I put it out on Twitter last night. Watching these two girls was like watching people on fast forward. They were, at a speed quicker than what people. A couple times I had to stop, and it was almost like I was catching up on a broadcast when things start to move quickly. They were super fast, super nonstop, and it was just exciting as hell to watch, man. And then I definitely spoke to somebody last night on Twitter, and she said she was picking Charmaine Tweet. I said it's going to be a very competitive fight. Definitely thought it was going to have a little bit more to it. And about 35 seconds later, I said, I guess I was wrong, because Cristaine just walked through her and demolished her. I don't think people understand, or when they get in the cage with her, really know and are expecting the punching power she's got. And the one thing I got to say, and I'm not a Cyborg apologist. She screwed up. She messed up in the past with the steroids and all that, and because of that, she's permanently changed. Her features are very masculine because of it. But you know what? She's clean. She's passing her drug test, or at least she's passing her drug test. If she's still on something, she's not getting busted for it. Whatever the case is, people need to move on and get over it. It's such a quick and easy thing. I saw people last night going, "Who's this guy fighting Charmaine Tweet tonight?" And you know what? Like, it's a little old. It's a little disrespectful. People need to move on. Ronda Rousey needs to move on. To me, it's just like something to say to try to discredit her and put her down, but it's something that hasn't been true in a while now. So, you know what? She paid her price for it. She paid her dues. Time to get over it. Hopefully people will start to just move on and just accept her for the fighter that she is now, because she is an incredible fighter. She really has an opportunity to make a great impact for women's mixed martial arts. And that's pretty much where I'm at with Invicta and with Cristaine. But yeah, it was some really great fights last night. Really exciting to see, and hopefully women's MMA will get a boost this weekend that it kind of desperately needs. But you mentioned it earlier, Eddie, with the talking about the rumor that Dana White had addressed at the Welcome to the Show press conference. That just happened just minutes before we went live here, and I was doing an interview that I'll put up later today or later tomorrow. But you got a chance to watch it, so walk me and Nick through the Welcome to the Show press conference.
All right, so the UFC announced their second season of fights. What they do now, I guess remember the Time Is Now conference where they announced a bunch of fights. I guess it's a thing now. They're gonna have press conferences to announce fights that, first of all, that have already been announced, but that I guess just talking about what's the fights that are gonna happen, where they're gonna happen, and then let the media and some fans ask questions to the fighters that are there. So They announced all the ones we already know about: Machida Rockhold, Jones Rumble, Weidman Belfort, Johnson, Horiguchi, Carlos Esparza against Joanna, incredibly difficult last name to say. Pettis, Dos Anjos, all those fights, right? Well, people asking questions and whatnot. I'm sitting here going, who's the first guy that's going to ask the cocaine question? Because it's got to come up, right? There's no way you have regular fans there from a garbage town like LA and they don't ask a cocaine question. First person goes up, hey, bro, I support you so much, John. A lot of people have troubles, man. And then I realized maybe everyone in LA is on cocaine. And so now, their hero is John Jones now. It's just the weirdest thing ever. So it was just standard press conference. It was kind of hijacked by Nick Diaz because everyone kept saying, don't be scared, homie. And I'm not even kidding. Everybody was saying it. Luke Rockhold was talking about, I'm not scared, homie, and a bunch of stuff. So, and I'm blanking on other stuff that happened. But the best part of it was the face-offs. At the very end, they were doing the face-offs and whatnot. And the very last one that happened was Anthony Rumble Johnson against John Jones. So they come up to the middle, and Jones bumps him with his forehead, and Johnson reacts like he's gonna punch him. Dana White lost his shit so quickly. It looked like he pissed himself on the spot, and he thought it was serious. He's like, whoa, whoa, whoa. He's like holding back John Jones and pushing Rumble Johnson away. And then he didn't realize it was a joke until John Jones and Johnson were laughing in his face. And then, Dana White had that I'm too old for this shit look on his face and just walks away. And it was probably the best part of the whole press conference. But it was just a standard thing, calling fights. And then, one thing that we already knew about but was confirmed-ish was that Tough 21 is going to be between, I guess, a season between gyms, right? It's going to be American Top Team against the Blackzilians down in South Florida. What we didn't know was that the winning gym gets $500,000. So, yeah, so they win. Whatever gym wins does it. And apparently the owners of both, the head coaches and owners of both gyms hate each other, like legitimately hate each other. Now, it could be a show, but from the little preview they gave us, it was pretty crazy, and they looked pretty pissed off. So I'm going to watch probably the first few episodes, and if it sucks, I'm going to bail. But they're going to have coaches like some of the coaches are going to be, I'm blanking, Robbie Lawler, Rashad Evans, whoever's part of those camps is supposedly going to be there helping these fighters train to win $500K. So it's the first time the UFC does this kind of format where it's gym against gym, and the fighters are competing for their gym to win money instead of a UFC contract and whatever else. So, again, standard press conference, hilarious as shit at the end. I kept saying Dave Scholar's having flashbacks right now in the back. He's probably all PTSD'd out and shit. I was like, motherfucker, he's running away and shit. But from the back and whatnot. But and he actually tweeted out a picture later. Apparently, after the press conference, they got a picture of Dave Scholar holding back John Jones and Rumble Johnson in the same way that Dana White was doing it. So it was a good laugh by everybody. Dana White nearly had a heart attack. It was pretty fucking good. And again, just disappointed in that crowd in LA for not asking the question about cocaine. They were all just blowing John Jones on on internet TV, I guess. So it was disappointing, and of course the usual suspects in the media came up, and the one that I really don't like in particular goes up there and says, what did he say? He asked a stupid question about, he tried to start a beef between Josh Koscheck and Luke Rockhold, right? Saying that Josh Koscheck was saying that the AKA was sinking and whatnot, and Rockhold basically shot it down. But of course, his journalist has to come up and ask that dumbass question because he's an instigator. And then he's like, oh, I don't instigate, me. So that's why I was hoping Nick Diaz was going to slap the shit out of him that one time where he was like, people like you get slapped, because people like him should get slapped.
Now, when they were talking about the tough season coming up, the gyms will win $500,000 for the winning gym, but will the winning fighter receive a contract as well? Is that still like the basis for their motivation to win, or is it just for gym pride?
Wasn't specified, and of course these journalists don't ask questions because they have Twitter accounts they're too busy tweeting on during the goddamn press conference. So, but they didn't ask that question. It wasn't specified. I'm sure we'll find out as the season gets closer. But I think it airs in April.
Yeah, and the owners of those gyms actually don't like each other. That's pretty pretty much been a documented thing. They're very competitive against each other. They're pretty close to each other, if I'm not mistaken, distance-wise within the state. So it's kind of like a rivals type of thing. But now, what do you think about this format that the UFC has gone to, where basically I believe what they're going to do, if I've heard right, is quarterly they're going to hold these types of press conferences, and they announce the next quarter's theme with the time is now, and now it's the welcome to the show, and they try to push the events, and they try to bring the fighters and some of the champions. I think Dana said he's got 8 of the top 15 pound-for-pound ranked fighters in the world at the press conference. Do you think this is a good thing for them? Do you think this is an interesting direction for them to go with their fight announcements?
For the UFC, new and different is good, because people have always bitch and complain about the same old thing. They always complain about tough because it's the same shit every season. They always complain about quote unquote watered down cards. They always complain. Fans will find something to bitch about no matter what. But if they keep throwing out new things like this, just something a little bit different. It doesn't have to be drastic. So these press conferences are actually kind of cool for the fans that are there. And I enjoy watching it. To be honest, I really did enjoy watching it, because they actually announced some shit. Unlike the time is now, where they were supposed to announce the Reebok deal, and Dana White comes up and says, "Well, we were supposed to announce something, but it didn't get done on time, so ask away." I don't know. So it was the most awkward 15 seconds before the first question was asked.
Yeah, no, I like it. It's different. Like Eddie said, it's new and different, and it's good for the UFC. I do like it that they're doing this quarterly press conference, and I do like the direction they're going with the Ultimate Fighter, because it's just getting watered down with you have a coach, fighters get a contract, blah, 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 blah. It's just getting watered down. I do like that they're having the gyms, and I'm going Team ATT all the way. I have 2 friends that actually are jits instructors down there, so it's actually pretty cool. But I'm going Team ATT. It's going to be I'm excited for this season. I actually like that they're doing something completely different with Tough, other than having women fighters, having it for a belt or a contract. I like it.
Yeah, and one of the things and how we got into this whole conversation, so bringing it back around, was that Dana White had alluded to the fact that Cyborg was coming in at 170. Now, Cyborg was rumored, or it is believed to be, that there was a possibility she was going to be announced as a new signed fighter for the UFC tonight during the pay-per-view, as they've come to this also, where they're dropping new big announcements into pay-per-views. But it was announced that she will be headlining an event, I believe, in Vegas during International Fight Week for Invicta. So for the time being, she's not moving over to the UFC. What do you think the odds are, or the chances are, that this headline fight that she fights for Invicta in Vegas will be her 135 debut if she gets down there? Eddie, what do you think about that?
If it's gonna happen, this is gonna be it. If she is gonna fight at bantamweight, this has to be the fight where she makes 135 and shows the UFC that she can do it. Again, and this is like, look, I've always resisted saying that the UFC is anything like the WWE, but there's always a possibility that it might be. And I'm not saying that the fights are fake. I'm saying that they put on an act for the people, as far as like Dana White goes, and as far as this whole, will Cyborg come or won't she come? It might just be a huge smokescreen that the UFC is throwing up. Dana White might just be saying, like, oh, she's not going to come over here unless she makes 135. And there might already be a deal in place for her to fight at 135. Like, you never really know what's going to happen with that. But if we're going, everything's on the up and up and everything, and everyone's being honest, which I 100% don't believe they are being honest, but whatever. This is it. This has to be the fight. She's at 135. So who she fights, who knows? It doesn't really matter. The fight's going to be against the weight. Can she make 135, fight, and look as impressive as she's always looked against, just like she looked against Shireen Tweet? If she makes 135, goes in there and looks like complete crap, there's going to be a lot of questions of should she go to the UFC. If she goes in there and dominates, it's going to be a demand for Cyborg to be signed to the UFC and a demand for her to fight Ronda Rousey.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't even think she's going to touch UFC unless we add another women's division to the UFC. I don't think she's ever going to fight Ronda Rousey. It's just one of those things that Anderson Silva is going to fight GSP. John Jones is going to fight Anderson Silva. John Jones is going to fight Cain Velasquez. It's things that we want as fans, but I don't think we're ever going to see it. I don't think she'll ever fight Ronda Rousey or get signed to the UFC unless we add another weight class to the UFC, and that's it.
Yeah, you know what it is though? It's one of those things where if there's smoke, there's fire, and there's an awful lot of smoke around this thing. Dana White was there watching last night. Obviously, they got a partnership going with Invicta, showing support. They're in the same town. But Shannon Knapp has already come out and said that she's in support of the UFC signing Cyborg and setting that fight up. Jules Kedzie, the matchmaker and also the commentator for Invicta, talked that fight up a lot last night during the lead up to the Cyborg fight about how this would be a great fight for the fans. This would be a great fight for both women. So a lot of people are talking. All the right people are talking. It's getting talked about a lot in the right circles to make it happen. So I think that we could be looking at a lead up to making it happen. But I'm starting to think that the biggest obstacle is not the weight for Cristaine. I think the biggest obstacle might be Ronda Rousey. As you alluded to earlier, you mentioned earlier, Nick, she had said that she would move up to 150 to fight Gina Carano, but she won't move up to 140 to fight Cyborg. So it's very interesting to me that she's like, I'll make that exception, but I won't do this one, even though it's the fight everybody wants to see. I think at this point, as entertaining as the lead-up would be, I think what we would have is basically in a Rousey-Carano fight, what we saw last night in the Cyborg Tweet fight, a clear dominant winner on one side. And I think we would see an extremely competitive fight and possibly one that Rousey could lose. She stepped into the cage with Cyborg. Now, granted, she could lose tonight against Kat Zingano, but that's yet to be seen. But I'm starting to think that Ronda is the biggest obstacle to this fight happening.
I don't buy that at all. I think the only obstacle is going to be Cyborg herself. And here's the thing: look, man, and people been asking for this fight for a long time because they want to see Ronda Rousey get their ass kicked, and that's just what it is. The fans drive the sport for the most part, right? With most of the casual fans. So the casual fans are screaming, "Oh, Cyborg! I don't even know who she is. But I want to see her fight, Ronda." Okay, cool, but it's not Ronda Rousey stopping this fight because, just like you said a little bit ago, she'll move up to 150 to fight Gina Carano. Okay, she could do that. And then be like, well, why don't you do it for Cyborg? I don't know, because Cyborg tested positive for steroids, because Cyborg's cheated, because she didn't deserve any respect from the champion, because she wasn't all natural to become champion. And a lot of look, she did steroids. All right, in my opinion, like I was talking to a buddy of mine on the ULI last night, to Quick actually. We were talking about how, why not make it so people that have been busted for performance-enhancing drugs are disqualified from getting title shots, right? We discussed this whole thing, and the one name that came up was, well, Cyborg couldn't fight Ronda then unless Ronda lost the belt, or it was a super fight with the belt without the belt on the line. So this whole thing of, well, we should do it for Carano, but she won't do it for Cyborg. First of all, she can do whatever the hell she wants. All right, she doesn't have to fight anyway if she don't want to. But it's clearly a show of lack of respect for Cyborg because she couldn't do it clean, or she didn't do it clean after she couldn't do it clean, and that Ronda so far has been doing it clean as far as we know. So, and the thing is, the only reason I say I'm not putting it out there that this is not breaking news. I'm not saying she's doing anything because I don't think she is. But after once Anderson Silva popped hot for steroids, I'm like, everyone's doing it. Screw it. Everyone's everyone's a suspect. Fuck it. So it's just, I don't think Ronda's going to be the obstacle. I think the obstacle is Cyborg herself. At this point, they're not even talking about the steroids anymore. They're saying, can she make the weight? So, sure, you can make the weight. If you want the belt, come meet the champion. And if you can't win 135, stop bitching about it. That's it.
Yeah, I agree. It's the respect thing. Like Ronda said, the only reason she would fight Gina Carano and she would make the exception because she looks up to her and she respects her as a fighter. She was the face of the UFC before, or of women's MMA before Ronda came on, and that's why she respects her, and that's why she would fight her. And it's without a doubt the reason that she won't fight Cyborg is not because she's scared. It's because she doesn't respect her. Like Eddie said, she got popped for steroids. She has this asterisks over her name and over her title and everything like that. Yeah, she's not testing positive now, but once you test positive, you lose respect for a while. Like me, I lost respect for Anderson Silva because he tested positive for steroids. It's gonna happen, and I agree with the whole Ronda Rousey wanting to fight Gina, but not wanting to fight Chris Cyborg as a super fight.
See, now that's breaking news. Nick Palicki lost respect for Anderson Silva.
I said it. I said it on the show. I did say it on the show.
Holy shit, man.
I have the.
That's breaking news.
Hey, he said that, and the gloves fell off from behind him. The fucking Mexico gloves are gone.
No, they're right here. I moved them for my podcast. But no, I have. I'll just say this: I do have the smallest glimmer of hope that Anderson Silva comes back not guilty for that. But that's just a different story.
Yeah, I think that is the slightest, smallest glimmer of hope for everybody. But we got a fight, or we got a card tonight. We got to make some picks. Eddie, you got the. Do you have the screenshot to bring up as we make our picks here?
Working on it. Give me 1 second here.
All right, we're going to be talking about the main card fights, which is Ferguson, Tebow, Joban Walsh, Ellenberger Koscheck, Pennington Holm, and Rousey Zingano.
Right,
so
let me run down the prelims just real quick for everybody.
Go for it.
A lot of you guys are unknown, but I actually studied a few of these guys. So where the hell? Oh, here it is. All right. So of course, Fight Pass prelims kicking off at 7 p.m. Eastern, 4 p.m. Pacific. So in roughly an hour and a half to kick off.
Do they really?
Yeah. So the first fight's going to be Macio Folan against Alex Torres. Folan's coming out of Mexico. He's making his UFC debut. Wasn't able to do it earlier due to injury. Has a 9-4-0 record. And in this fight, he has a 2-inch height advantage, which is most likely goes to a reach advantage, but it's not going to be much. But he does have the grappling advantage. Last time he fought was in March of last year. It was a TKO win over Luis Mora in Costa Rica. And now Alex Torres is out of Colombia. He's making his UFC debut as well. His 2-1-0 record. His striking is pretty solid, but he's last fought in July of 2013. And that was a TKO win. Excuse me, a TKO win in SFC 9. So it looks like it almost looks like Folan's getting fed a guy that hasn't fought in over a year and in over 2 years. So it's going to be I have Folan to win that fight pretty handedly. After that, we have the James Cross against Valmer Lazaro. James Cross is he's out of Glory MMA Missouri. He's 21-6-0 record. He's long. He's a creative striker. He showed it in WEC. And he actually showed it against guys like Jamie Varner in the UFC. And the WEC, there was a lot of guys in there. But he's a jiu-jitsu brown belt. Last fought September last year, and it was a loss against Jorge Masvidal via decision. But before that, he picked up a TKO win against Jamie Varner. But if you remember, that win was because Varner broke his ankle during the fight, which was incredibly depressing to watch. So, but his biggest win on his resume is a guillotine choke over Sam Stout. He has a small height advantage against Lazaro, but he probably won't take the fight to the ground because Lazaro has a solid striking game. And that is because Valmer Lazaro comes out of Nova União in Brazil. That's the same gym as Jose Aldo and Renan Barão. He's 12-3, and 9 of his 12 wins have come by knockout. All right, straight one-handed or one-punch knockout or one-strike knockout. So last time he fought was a decision loss to James Vick, so he's not going to look to wait to give Cross any time to take him into deep waters. He's going to come out and try to knock him out. He moves. He has a similar style as Aldo Barão, which means he's very aggressive with his combos, and he's going to pressure Cross. And on that one, I'm going to go ahead and take the Brazilian to knock Cross out. I'm just not impressed with what Cross does at all. And then finally, we get into the Fox Sports 1 prelim starting at 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific. First fight on those prelims, Derek the Black Beast Lewis against Juan Potts, nicknamed Fangs, whatever that's supposed to mean. Lewis fights at a Silverback Fight Club in Houston, Texas, just up the road from Mr. Pilecki here. He's 11-3-0 with 1 no contest. Now, Lewis is a knockout machine. He TKO'd Jack May in April last year, and I think he knocked out Carlos Filo at the Tough 19 finale as well. But he lost last September against Matt Mitrione via knockout. He has knockout power on both of his hands, and this guy, fellas, he is a wrestler. He wrestled. He grew up wrestling. He has good takedown defense, and even if you take him down for a big guy, he's really good at getting back on his feet. He has the heart to weather early storms if he has to, and he's been known to weather storms and come back with one-punch knockout power. He's taking on Juan Potts, who's 37 years old, out of Mark Robinson MMA in South Africa, which we don't know a whole lot about. He's 8-3. He's one of those guys that's on a 2-fight losing streak and is basically fighting for his spot on the UFC roster. Last time he fought was on that UFC 177 card, and he got knocked out by Anthony Hamilton by body shots. Okay, he didn't even get knocked out shot to the head. So, but here's when Potts has an advantage. He's a black belt in judo and a brown belt in jiu-jitsu. So he has to find a way to get Lewis to the ground and make it a jiu-jitsu match. If he tries to stand with Lewis, he's going to sleep. Hamilton knocked him out with body shots, and Pelele also knocked him out, and he might get knocked right out of the UFC in this fight. So yeah, and that's the problem with being a heavyweight, is if you stand with certain guys, you're going to sleep. And then after that, we have a fight that I'm actually kind of excited for because I like the Lima brothers. They're both really good. Diego Lima taking on Tim Means. Lima out of American Top Team in Atlanta by way of Brazil, 11-2, very well-rounded fighter. He doesn't mind mixing it up, but I would give him an edge on the ground. Last time he fought was at UFC Fight Night Shogun for St. Preux, but it was against a late replacement in Jorge Oliveira, who turned out to be a very game fighter, and Lima had to pull off a decision win. Oliveira ended up taking him all 3 rounds. So Lima's gonna have to find a way to fight with more urgency because he didn't have it in that last fight. Then Tim Means fights out of Fit NHB in Albuquerque, New Mexico. First of all, I didn't know there was any other gyms besides Jackson's. I don't know why he's not at Jackson's, but okay. He's 22-6-1. He's a very experienced fighter, way more experienced than Lima is, and he's a very game fighter. He's very well-rounded. I'm expecting a pretty good fight here. As long as Means can keep it standing, he can outstrike Lima and knock him out. And that's a fight I think is one of those that people should be excited about, even though they're probably not because Tim Means is in it. So. Anyway, after that, Roman Salazar taking on Kid Yamamoto. Salazar out of Fight Ready in Scottsdale, Arizona. He's a 9-3-0 record. Last fought in October of last year, which was a loss to Mitch Gagnon via rear naked choke, but he was a late replacement for that fight. His nickname is El Gallito, which means the little rooster, and he's down to win by any means, man, but wrestling is his key. He wants dominant positions to get TKO wins, but he doesn't mind using his jiu-jitsu, as he's done it 3 times in his career, all via guillotine choke. So you don't want to shoot on this guy. Have him catch that neck with his arm, because he has been known to finish guys via his guillotine. Now, Kid Yamamoto is an international superstar with knockout power out of that Crazy Bee gym in Japan, which we've heard of a couple times now. 18-6-0, 1 no contest. He's fought in Dream. He's fought in Shudo. He's fought for the UFC before. This guy's been everywhere. He's fought guys like Hoyler Gracie, Joe Warren, and Demetrius Johnson, but is riding a 3-fight losing streak that began with Johnson and hasn't fought since 2012, which is a loss to Von Lee via armbar. Now, Yamamoto has it all. He has his wrestling. He has striking submissions. He's done Olympic wrestling, for crying out loud. And he has all the tools necessary to take Salazar out and take him out quickly. And that's exactly what he should be trying to do, because he needs his win badly. We know 3-fight losing streaks, and usually you're on that cut list pretty quickly. And in the main prelim, we get number 13, Mark Munoz against Juan Carnero. This is an interesting fight because, Munoz trains out of Rain MMA in California. He's 13-5-0, and we know what he brings. He brings elite-level wrestling with knockout power. He's going to look to pressure Carnero and finish him via TKO. But he has recent losses to Lyoto Machida and Gegard Mousasi. And because of the manners, I mean, he got knocked out by Machida, and he got choked out by Mousasi. And his friends and family have been asking him to retire, but Munoz says he doesn't feel like it's his time to quit yet. And he has a good fight here to keep his career going, because Carnero, who's out of American Top Team, by the way, Brazil, he's 19-9. Last fought in the UFC in 2008, which is a loss to Rio Chona, which I believe is the guy that I want to say he's the guy that beat Anderson Silva. I can't remember just off the top of my head, but he lost to him via split decision. Since then, he's jumped around a little bit. He last fought and beat Brock Larson at that Battlegrounds MMA. I believe it was like a bunch of a bunch of fights in one night, or was it that tournament they had? I don't know if he was in that, but he might have been in that. But he beat Brock Larson. It was a split decision, and now he's back in the octagon. Carnero is a jiu-jitsu guy. He's a jiu-jitsu fighter, and he looks to take the fight to the ground, doesn't mind fighting off his back. And if Munoz takes him down, he's going to be very careful because Carnero is not afraid of fighting off his back and getting submissions off of there. We're talking triangles, arm bars, whatever you can do off your back, Carnero can do it into Munoz, especially if Munoz gets overzealous and tries to, bomb him to death. So, Munoz lost to Musasi via rear naked choke last May, as we saw, so he's susceptible to being choked out for sure. So that's going to be your main prelim, and go ahead and take it away for the main card, man.
Yeah, the main card we have Ferguson and Tebow. Ferguson is coming off a choke out of all my stuff is closed. Abel Trujillo, we talked about that the other day. So he's a very exciting fighter. He's coming up he's getting in against Gleison Tebow, who we just saw fight in the UFC Boston card. Gleison Tebow has become the gatekeeper of sorts for this division. Tony Ferguson is on the rise, trying to step up in competition, trying to move his way up. If he can get past Gleison Tebow tonight, I think we're going to see a very quick upward move of Gleison Tebow there. And we are totally rocking Facebook pictures right now. I'm not sure what's happening. But
Hold up. I'll fix it.
That's all right.
There we go.
That'd have been great if something else came up, but that. So
I didn't have no porn up, dude. I don't watch porn when we're doing the show. I'm just saying.
for Tony Ferguson, this is a great opportunity for him to get a fight over a guy who's got a very well-known name and move himself up into the rankings here. We then move to Alan Yoban and Walsh, Richard Walsh, Filthy Rich. Filthy Rich is going to be coming in, or it should already be obviously there, coming in from Australia. He was a member of the Tough Nations when it was the Canadians and it was the Australians, and he put on a number of great fights during the show. He put on a couple of great fights, afterwards. But Alan Yoban is coming in. He's 10-3. He's got a record. You can see it here on the screen for those that are watching. It's 70% of his wins come by knockout. He's got phenomenal hands. He's a good striker. If you go down the screen a little bit, his significant strikes landed. He's landing almost 5.5 per minute. So you're talking about 15, 16 significant strikes per round. He works hard. He's a high motor type of fighter. So this is definitely an opportunity for him. Richard Walsh, I think, if he gets the win, would definitely come out better for this. I think Alan Yoban getting the win is what's expected. We then go to Ellenberger Koscheck. Ellenberger is coming off of a loss recently. Josh Koscheck's coming off of a long layoff. Koscheck is, to me, on his way out already. He's stated that he wants to fight out his last couple of fights and then retire. And as with most sports, the saying goes, if you're thinking about retiring, you're already mentally retired. You're already done. You're already out of it. Ellenberger, on the other hand, is 29-9. He is still focused on fighting. He is looking to move up the ranks and move in towards a title shot here. And this is a fight that he has the opportunity to do this. Again, another striker, TKO ratio of 69% or knockout TKO. But if this fight goes to the ground and Koscheck has the opportunity here to grapple and to wrestle, I think this is going to be nullified. I think Ellenberger's got a good wrestling base, so I think this fight will be voided out on the ground and will end up standing up. And what we're going to see here is, in my opinion, Ellenberger finished this fight in the second round. We then move on to the co-main event, Pennington and Holly Holm. Raquel Pennington is 5-5. Holly Holm is undefeated at 7-0, but she's coming into the UFC. This is her UFC debut. She is a phenomenal striker. She has Fantastic hands. The picture doesn't do the justice, but if you see the weigh-in pictures, she's got an incredible height advantage over Rocky Pennington, but it only translates into a 1-inch reach advantage. So this could actually play into Rocky's hands. The general consensus here at Crossbones is Raquel needs to take this fight down to the ground. She needs to make this a ground fight and grind it out. On the ground, Holly Holm's striking advantage would be nullified, and Pennington has proven that she has got the ability on the ground to ground and pound and to work for submissions. This is definitely going to be her best opportunity to win this fight. We'll see Holly Holm try to keep it on the feet, try to keep it standing, and we're going to see Pennington try to take this fight down to the ground. At least that's my my thoughts here. And then, of course, we got the main event, Ronda Rousey defending against Kat Zingano. Ronda Rousey and Kat Zingano is an interesting fight. Zingano is very big for the 135 pounds. She made the weight, but she carries herself, and she carries a lot of muscle mass on her body. She's got phenomenal strikes. She's got phenomenal ground and pound. She is a instinctual finisher in her fight. She's looking to come into this fight tonight, and she's looking to take the belt. Ronda Rousey is the top of the WMMA food chain, not just in her weight class, but in all general consensus. She's the best pound-for-pound female fighter in the world. And what we're going to see here tonight is she is going to have to weather a storm striking. She's going to have to show off better striking on her own, more improved strikes. And if this fight gets to the ground, she's going to have to work a fighter that has the physical strength to get her off and to move this fight back to the feet. This is going to be a very exciting fight to watch. Hopefully, it'll be much more competitive than last night's Cyborg Tweed fight. And we're going to get an opportunity to really see why Ronda should have no problem headlining a pay-per-view event. Nick, I'm going to start with you. Just the main card, so Ferguson Tebow. Let's talk about your pick here.
I have Ferguson in this fight. I think he's a better overall fighter on the stand-up game. I don't think Gleison Tebow can take him down and control him like he usually does. So I'm going with Tony Ferguson on this fight.
Eddie?
All right, so man, this is it was at first it was a hard pick for me, but now after I did a little bit of research and checked everything out. Tony Ferguson, he has everything you want in a fighter. He's very well rounded. He doesn't mind standing with guys. He has as many TKO. I'm pretty sure he has as many TKO wins as he does submissions. But he excels on the ground. I mean, he trains over at 10th Planet Jiu-Jitsu with Eddie Bravo and all those guys, and those guys come up with some very, very crazy and interesting submissions. So, I think what's going to happen is he's going to attack Gleison Tebow with submissions. Gleison Tebow, on his, by his own right, is pretty good on the ground too. I think he's going to tire out Tebow, and by the time they get to the third round and they're both standing, Ferguson's gas tank is going to be still pretty full, and he's going to just TKO him in the third round. So I got Ferguson via TKO.
Yeah, I had Ferguson picked I had Abel Trujillo picked over Tony Ferguson at the last event, and because I didn't think he would be able to handle somebody who had the muscle mass that Abel Trujillo had, and it's very similar to the muscle mass Gleison Tebow has. Ferguson proved to me that he can handle himself against a guy like that. He was extremely effective with his striking, which led to the submission. My pick also here is Tony Ferguson. Going to Alan Yoban and Filthy Rich. Eddie, who do you have?
All right, so Alan Yoban is out of that Black House 10 Planet Jiu-Jitsu. He also does 10 Planet Jiu-Jitsu, and he's a guy who's very, very solid on the ground, but he prefers to stay in a strike with guys. In his UFC debut, he knocked out Seth Benzinski. So his solid striking game is what gives me a look into what he has in his game, but Filthy Rich is good stand-up. He has underrated submission game. So I think he's going to come up to Joban just having better technical striking, and he's going to knock out Filthy Rich. I'm going to say second round.
And
so
I got to go.
Was that Yoban you picked?
Yeah, Joban. I took Joban via knockout.
And I'm going to do Joban as well. Exact same thing. I think he's going to TKO or knock out Filthy Rich in the second round. That's actually my exact pick for it. So
there you go.
All right. We have Andrew Reed. He's came in here on Twitter. He's putting in his quote here is, if Ronda doesn't finish it in the first round, he thinks Kat's going to take it. We'll touch on that a little bit more in a couple of seconds here. But for Alan Yoban's fight, for me personally, I'm thinking it's Yoban. I think he's going to have the advantage in not just experience in the ring, but also his physical abilities during the fight. I think Filthy Rich is definitely a guy that's up and coming in the sport, as well as Alan. But I think Alan is right now a little bit ahead of him, and I think that'll lead to an Alan Yoban win. Josh Koscheck, Jake Ellenberger. What are you thinking here, Nick?
Sorry, I was on mute there. If there's any person I hate in the UFC the most, it's Josh Koscheck. More than any fighter in the that's just personal reason. As a fighter, he was good back in the day. He's taken some personal time off as of now. He wants to finish up his contract in the UFC, like we all said, and he's thinking about retirement. Like you said, John, if you're thinking about retiring, you already retired in your mind. I'm going Jake Ellenberger on this. I think Jake Ellenberger is overall a better fighter. Even on the ground, I think he can manhandle Josh Koscheck on the ground. So I'm going to go Jake Ellenberger.
Eddie?
All right, so two guys that wrestle, and they wrestle pretty good. Jake Ellenberger, trains over at Rain MMA with Mark Munoz, and Koscheck has been a wrestler his entire life, and coming out of the Throne base camp in Fresno that he owns now, he's a veteran. Koscheck's a veteran of the sport, and he was on that first season of The Ultimate Fighter, which means he's a real veteran of the sport, like forever ago. And if you guys watched that that first season of Tough, he was a pain in the ass to the other fighters. His bread and butter is wrestling. He's gonna do his best to get to the fight to the ground, and I don't think Ellenberger is gonna be able to stop him from taking the fight to the ground. However, just like I said, Ellenberger has his wrestling, but he also has his striking. He's been training over with Ronda Rousey's coach at Glendale Fight Club in California. So his striking has to be improved. There's no way it doesn't improve. At that gym, everyone's striking freaking gets better. So I don't even think it matters if this fight goes to the ground, because if Ellenberger's that good of a wrestler, he can get back up, make the fight stay on the feet, and he's gonna put Koscheck out with a knockout. I'm gonna say third round.
All right, now both of these guys are coming in on 3-fight losing streaks to common opponents. Ellenberger lost to Kelvin Gastelum, Robbie Lawler, Rory McDonald. For Josh, he lost to Tyrone Woodley, Robbie Lawler, Johnny Hendricks. So they have Robbie Lawler here in common, as in their recent losses. But what we're seeing here is two guys that need a win desperately. Koscheck has the benefit of being a longtime veteran with the UFC, a member of Season 1 of The Ultimate Fighter. If he loses, I don't think this is so much of a you're out type of situation for him. I think the UFC and Dana White will let him fight out the balance of his fight on his contract. But he's got a pretty decent overhand right. I wouldn't call it deadly, but it's a decent overhand right. He's definitely got the ability to wrestle. We've all seen it before. But like I said earlier, Ellenberger's got that ability as well. Ellenberger's a fast finisher. He's got 13 first-round finishes out of his 29 wins. If this fight, I think he's got the ability to end this fight quickly in the first round. I think right now at this point in their careers, Ellenberger is either plateaued or still on his way up a little bit, where Koscheck is clearly on the decline on his way down. I think that's going to make the difference in the fight, and I have Ellenberger winning this fight, and I'm tempted to go quick here in the first round, but I do have it as a second round finish. Next fight we got is the co-main event, Raquel Pennington, Holly Holm. Eddie, let's start with you.
All right. So as we know, Holly Holm making her UFC debut finally, right? Undefeated in MMA so far, and her biggest weapons, of course, are her hands. She's a champion boxer. She hits hard, she hits fast, and her combos are really good. But the question with her is, and has always been, does she have a ground game? And I think we're gonna find out tonight. Rocky, and I hate the pun, but she's had a rocky start to her career in the UFC. She's 5-5. She has the ground game, and she's look. Her plan has to be to weather the storm long enough to get the fight to the ground, and then put ground and pound on Holly Holm or test her submission game. And of course, I'm gonna be the unpopular pick here. I think Rocky does just that. I think she's gonna weather the storm. She's gonna weather the first couple minutes of just unholy strikes from Holly Holm, and get the fight to the ground. And then from there, we're gonna see her submit Holly Holm. And I'm gonna go ahead and say it's gonna happen in the second round.
And surprisingly, I have the same thing going on here. I really like Rocky. Rocky's, for personal reasons, I like her. She's a really good fighter. Yes, she, like Eddie said, had a rocky start to her.
Time out. You got to explain the personal reasons thing.
Okay, so personal
Are you
reasons.
about to come out?
No,
I don't know.
Calm down. Calm down. Jesus. Okay, personal reasons is when I first got with you guys, she was one of the first interviews I got to do.
Oh, okay. Well, there you go.
That's why. I do like Rocky. She's a good fighter, overall a great person off those interviews that we got to do with her. I do like her as a fighter. I want her to grow with the UFC, but then again, she's fighting Holly Holm. Great boxing skills. She's been showing that she has great kicks as well. One of her fights, she ended up throwing a head kick knockout. But I got to go with Raquel Pennington. I think she can weather the storm, take her down, and get a submission in, or just hold her against the cage for the whole fight, and just do some good cage work and dirty boxing to it and everything like that. So I'm going Rocky with this one. I think she can pull off the upset and show that she is going to be a force to be reckoned with in the UFC.
Yeah, and for Holly Holm, she turned pro in 2011. She went full-time in 2013. She's got 7 wins. They're MMA wins. Her professional boxing record was 33-2-3 at the point of her retirement. But she hasn't fought UFC level competitors yet. For Raquel, she was a member of Misha Tate's team on The Ultimate Fighter, Tough 18. She's got a second-round TKO over Kim Couture. She beat Sarah Moraes. She did lose to the woman who's going to be fighting the champ tonight, Kat Zingano. She beat Ashley Evans-Smith in the last one with a bulldog choke. She's beaten Roxanne Modafferi. She's fought some of the higher-level women's mixed martial arts artists in her division here. And I think if she can take this fight to the ground, she's got the ability to finish it there. If Holly Holm can keep it standing, she's got the definitive advantage here. So this is where the question lies. Is Rocky going to be able to bring her down to the ground? Is Holly Holm going to be able to maintain it on the feet? This is such a torn pick for me. For Rocky, she's been on the show with us, somebody who I've spoken to many times, consider her a friend of mine. I'm going to be rooting for her. I'm going to be cheering for her. I want to see her win. But in terms of making a professional pick, I don't know, man. I don't know. I'm on the fence here. I might actually change my pick. I might go from Holly to Raquel. I just can't pull the trigger on Holly Holm yet. I really can't. I submitted my picks earlier to Crossbones MMA. I'm changing my pick as a co-founder with Eddie. I reserve the right to do that. I'm going to team up with you guys here. I'm going to change my pick. I just can't pull the trigger on Holly Holm yet. I really can't. I got to see her inside the cage. And to Holly's credit, she knows she's in a no-win situation tonight. I put it out there a couple weeks ago that it's ridiculous that Holly Holm is ranked in the UFC without having fought in the UFC. And to her credit and to her benefit, she responded to that tweet and favored it and said she agreed. So she knows what's ahead of her here. But like I said, I made the pick earlier, but I submitted my pick earlier, but I'm going to switch it up here. I got to go with Rocky here. I'm really cheering for her. I'm really rooting for her. It might be an emotional bias, but like I said, I don't think I can pull the trigger on Holly Holm yet. So my pick is going to be Raquel Pennington as well. We're going to round out our picks with obviously the main event, which is the women's bantamweight title, and that is going to be again between Ronda Rousey and the number one contender, Kat Zingano. Eddie, we'll start with you.
All right. First of all, had you picked Holly Holm on that last one, it'd have been one of those like, "Hey, I'll do respect, but you suck," like that kind of thing. Not people say like, "I'm not racist, but," that kind of talk.
That pick was I think I said it to Nick earlier. This is like it's one of those head and heart ones. Like in my head is saying it's Holly Holm because of the striking, but my heart is saying Raquel Pennington because, like I said, because of the friendship and because of just who I want to see win, the emotional, like I want to see her win. Yeah. So it's a head and heart pick, but like I said, I just can't pull the trigger yet on Holly Holm.
No, I hear you. All right, so let's talk Kat Zingano against Ronda Rousey. Kat Zingano fighting out of Colorado. She's got the cardio, clearly. So 9-0 record, undefeated. She's coming off an insanely chaotic couple of years. First, of course, everyone's talked about it. It's been on all the countdowns. We've said it before. The knee injury, and then right after that, having to deal with the unfortunate passing of her husband when he took his own life. It's a very chaotic couple of years, something a lot of people couldn't handle. So why do I even point that out? It's physical, having to overcome a physical thing like a blown knee as adversity, and then something as emotional and as life-changing as your partner dying, you're passing away. It strengthens you, right? The more things you go through, you become stronger. So keep that on the back of your mind. So now we're talking to her physical stuff, her fighting ability. She is very well rounded. She's very tough. She has good Muay Thai. We've seen her throw knees, elbows. Her striking is good. She's got really good jiu-jitsu, and she's got that X factor. She's got the power. She's got that power she can use on Ronda. We haven't seen Ronda fight someone as strong and powerful as Kat Zingano. So she's gonna have to bring that with her into the cage. Ronda, on the other hand, she might be. In fact, no, I'll say it, she is the best female fighter to ever do it, ever. And as everyone's heard Rogan say a million times before, she's not a once in a lifetime. She might be the only one ever. And she's so good at everything. Why? Because she busts her ass and works on any weakness that she ever had. She's always fought to make it a strength. Her hands get better every single fight. Her jiu-jitsu, I don't know a lot about it. I don't know if she has a belt or not or anything in it. But with the arm bars and the other things that I've seen her do, on other videos and whatnot, she looks really good on the ground as far as jiu-jitsu goes. But, of course, her bread and butter is that judo, getting the fight to the ground, getting it down quickly and as painfully as possible. I don't know if either one of you has ever been thrown by a judoka. It hurts like a bitch. I've had it done to me a bunch of times. So I just think she's too damn good. I think her ability to come out and start fast and strong is going to help her. I agree with Andrew saying that if Ronda's gonna end this fight quickly, it's gonna be in the first. Obviously, it's gonna be the first round, but if she's gonna finish this fight without getting into the championship rounds, and I know Andrew's saying that if it gets past the first, then Zingano's gonna get it. I don't agree with that. I think if it goes past the first round, it's gonna get to maybe the third round, maybe the fourth round before Ronda just imposes her will and her greatness onto Kat Zingano. But I don't think it even gets that far. I think. Yeah, no, it's another unpopular pick because a lot of people are picking Kat Zingano. I think Ronda is not only going to win, she's going to run over Kat Zingano. And the X factor for that, as far as Kat Zingano goes, is the fact that Kat Zingano just can never start quick. She's a slow starter. And as we know, Ronda Rousey, the second you say go, she's a rocket. She's gone. So I'm going to take Rousey. I'm going to take Rousey armbar first round.
I don't know. I've been waiting for this fight for a while since the first fight was announced. I think Kat Zingano is the person that can give Ronda the toughest fight of her career. It's a hard pick, man. You can't pick against Ronda Rousey. She's a beast, like everyone's been saying. Her takedowns are awesome, her arm bars, and then now we're seeing her stand-up game. But we got Kat Zingano, who is powerful. She's very powerful, big for the weight class, like we all said. And she has that motivation to get the title and be the top. It's a hard pick. I personally want to see Kat win, but I think Ronda's too good. I think it's gonna be a war. It's gonna be Ronda's toughest test, and I think Ronda's gonna take it by decision. I think this is gonna be the first time we see Ronda Rousey go to decision, and her say that she doesn't count this as a win, like she said in the interview, saying that I don't count it a win if it's a unanimous decision, if I win by decision in any way. I think it's going to be the first time we see Ronda Rousey win by a decision. So I'm going to go Ronda Rousey.
Who the fuck are you guys? Decision, and she's going to run through Kat Zingano? You guys are out of your freaking minds.
Hey, it's hard for me, man. I do think Kat Zingano can finish Ronda Rousey. I think that she can actually do it, but I cannot go against Ronda Rousey. She's too damn good.
Yeah, absolutely. But I'm gonna echo pretty much everything Eddie said. I think that she's improving in all areas of her game, which is scary because she's already incredible in almost everything she puts her mind to. Andrew Reed on Twitter at Revelation137 makes a good point, though. He says, don't forget that Holly would have done nothing but worked on her ground game, that we may be surprised. This is true. I mean, somebody who's so established in boxing really doesn't need to continue to work that. I'm sure she's getting her striking in, her pad work in, but she can really focus on her holes, and for her it would have been the ground game and would have been defense against takedowns. But Ronda is just the top of the food chain right now. You know, every area that she has, she strengthens. Every weakness she has, she strengthens and improves. Every hole that she has, she patches over. Just, you know, an incredible fighter, somebody who is incredibly determined and focused to be the best at everything she does, and I think that's where we're going to see tonight. I have it going by submission in the second round. I do think it gets out of the first, but I think that Ronda is going to end up taking this fight out in the second round. I have it by submission. Not sure if it's an armbar. Not sure if it's a rear naked choke. But I do see Ronda finishing this fight and continuing her undefeated streak. I see her giving the first loss to Kat. But I think it's definitely going to be an exciting fight. I'm looking forward to this one. And you know, that's going to be my final pick, is second round submission for Ronda Rousey tonight.
See, and here's one thing I'm interested in, and I don't know if you guys ever noticed it, but every opponent that Ronda Rousey has had so far has had this face, the oh shit face is what I call it. The same face that everyone that ever fought Tyson was the oh shit, I'm getting there with Mike Tyson. It's the same face these girls are having every time Ronda comes out. You know, every time they walk out to the octagon to fight Ronda. So I'm going to be paying attention to what Kat Zingano's face tells me, is if she's even a little nervous, because if she's even a little bit nervous, she's in deep trouble. Or okay, I take it back. If she even shows a little bit of nervousness, because you have to be scared to get in there. There's no way. So, I don't know. Again, I know. I'm saying that, you know, it's an unpopular thing to say that Ronda's gonna run through Kat, but I just think she does. I think Kat's gonna start too damn slow, and it's not gonna get out of the first round. And I think after this fight, you know, should Ronda win and win convincingly, it's going to be one of those things where people are going to stop talking about who's going to beat Ronda Rousey, and it's going to be like, can Ronda Rousey be beaten? And the other question, of course, is always going to be, you know, well, can Cyborg make 135 and possibly make that happen? Can you imagine if Cyborg actually makes 135, gets to the UFC, and then loses to Ronda Rousey? They're going to be asking if there's anybody out there. They're going to be like calling dudes to come fight her.
Well, at that point, that's where she says that she would retire, when she's prove she's the best in the world and there's nobody left to fight. But that's going to wrap up our picks for today and for tonight's event. You guys got anything else before we wrap the show?
We'll be doing coverage of the main card. Obviously, you know, Fox Sports 1 has the prelims. UFC Fight Pass is going to be obviously UFC Fight Pass. So you got that. Go ahead and watch it. I'll be talking about every fight up until the main card, and then once the main card comes up, I'm changing a little bit of a format on the play-by-play that I do. I used to do literally move by move because I'm just that fast at typing. but I'm gonna change it up because I believe Twitter's getting pissed off at me with the fact that I sent 1,000,000 tweets per fight, and I mean per fight, not per event, per main card, per fight. I was sending out like 400, just telling people exactly what's happening. So, but I am gonna be covering that. I'm gonna have the images ready to go. Yeah, I'm gonna really enjoy this tonight's card. I'm heading to the bar early. I'm heading to my wings place early because they get crazy packed.
Yeah.
But you, Nick?
All right.
Same. I'm actually, once I get off the show, I'm about to get dressed and then head over to my local wings place and watch the fights.
There you go.
All right. You gonna do bad decisions tomorrow?
Yes, yeah, for sure. I know. I skipped out on it last week because I look, man, life happens. So for sure, gonna be talking all the events. I'm gonna be talking the time. Not time is now. I'm gonna be talking the welcome to the show. I'm gonna be talking why they keep coming up with these cliche garbage ass names for these things, and then a couple other different things, and of course my weekly rant. And I already have my subject picked out. I'm gonna keep it close to the chest because it's gonna be good.
All right. Well, as always, you can follow us here. I am at MMA John G. He is at eLaw31. Nick is at NickXMicro. The show is at Crossbones MMA. We have two writers at CBMMA Don _Don. We have at SPWAT1983 for Jesse. You can find this show on SoundCloud, on iTunes.com, and on Stitcher.com by looking up Crossbones MMA Radio. Remember to go to the website, check out the store and affiliates page or any of the links for On It, NatureBox, F3 Foods, DraftKings, Amazon, and Troxavin. But Eddie will be back tomorrow. We'll be back on Wednesday to discuss tonight's events, as well as anything else that comes up between now and then. So we'll be keeping our eyes open and our ears down to the ground, listening to the news and all the tidbits that are coming out, so that way we can bring them to you here on Crossbones MMA. But until Wednesday, have a great night. Be safe.